Hey there, in today's video we're going to look at one of the latest pop sensations. I know it's been out for about a month now, but there's something really beautiful about the song and I want to break it down a little bit for you, so let's dive in. The Fate of Ophelia is touching on the Shakespearean Ophelia from Hamlet. There's this famous painting by Sir John Everett Millais of Ophelia drowning in the river, and that's also where the Taylor Swift music video starts. You can see she's waking up from the painting right here. I think it resonates because she uses this narrative, describes herself as someone who's being played with by a man. And I think it also resonates because of Ophelia's fight with the patriarchy, which is very topical to this day. And Taylor Swift uses this as a sort of self-redemption song of becoming more independent and betting on herself and going through it. Alright, so now let's dive into the song itself and hear what the music is about and how it connects to the whole story. So even this is kind of fun, you know, like guy hoovering there and she's awakening from the picture.
I heard you calling on the megaphone. You wanna see me all alone.
I would like to point out the rhythm here. Beautiful drum sound, probably some drum machine, very groovy and funky, sort of like 80s vibe of the synth sound, and the drum groove is straight. 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and bass drum snare, bass drum snare, bass drum snare. But the bass, the synth bass, goes like this. You would count it like 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2, which makes you want to move a little bit more. It makes it more dance. So you still have the drive, but also the movement of the bass. The chords here are G minor, D minor, F, and C, which is quite interesting for several reasons. It doesn't start on what we would call the tonic, what we would call the chord that feels like home when you finish the song. So, for example, if I played around these chords, this would be the tonic. The F, if it was a major key. If it was a minor key, it would be something like this. It would be the D minor chord. So even the chord progression feels like something keeps moving.
As legend has it, you are quite the pyro. You light the match to watch it blow. And if you'd never call for me, I might have drowned in the melancholy.
So I want you to notice the difference in the phrasing here. The verses are pretty simple. 2 notes, no big jumps, nothing overly too complicated. Moving the story forward. When we get to the pre-chorus, it becomes a bit more syncopated.
The match to watch it blow.
And now.
And if you'd never call for me.
So now it moves a little bit quicker, and I'm going to be pointing this out throughout the song, but notice the difference between the beginning of the phrase and the end of the phrase in the pre-chorus. And if you'd never come for me. Yeah, so you have short staccato, then if you never come for me. 2 long notes. It makes it very interesting and makes the ear kind of engaged because it's very rhythmical. Tension and release. And then we move on to the chorus where the same principle is applied. Listen.
I swore my loyalty to me, myself, and I, right before you lit my sky up. All that time I sat alone in my tower, you were just honing your powers. Now I can see it all.
It starts very dancey. All that time I sat alone in my tower, you're just honing your powers. But then it also opens up for the long note, so I can see it all. Also notice in the pre-chorus, towards the end, how there are like little responses, echo responses in the background, which is really interesting production that makes you more aware of the stereo image. Listen here.
To me, myself,
Me, myself, self, and I. Call and response in different sides of the stereo spectrum, different depths. Like the main vocal, you can really feel it up front, but the other voices are sort of in the back a little bit. There's some reverb on them and creates a bit more space.
and I, right before you lit my sky up.
Oh, so just before it gets to the chorus, a lot of the instruments are kind of removed, and that creates greater effect. Again, it's about contrast when we then come into the chorus. So there's almost nothing, just the voice, some drums. And then multiple voices, drums are coming back, and everything kicks in for the chorus. So that's very well done production. We already talked about the rhythm in the melody. Ba, ba, higher note. And in terms of the chords, we're now going into B flat, which is the subdominant chord or sixth chord. If you look at it as D minor, it would be sixth chord, which has sort of subdominant function as well. If it was in F, it would be subdominant chord. The time I sat alone in my tower, back to F. You were just honing your powers. D minor, now I can see it all. Here I really like how they elongate the phrase a little bit to create a bit more space. Let the music breathe so that they can go back into that more choppy part of the chorus.
Now I can see it all. You took me out of my grave and saved my heart from the fate of Ophelia.
Late one night is in the back, very big note, going very spaciously, and then the choppy part is right up front in your face, very present. Right up front. The call and response again. You can also notice that her voice is kind of everywhere in the headphones or on the speakers. It's doubled and it sounds very full, very strong and powerful. That's done also in the production when you take the same voice or similar and delay it by 10-20 milliseconds and put it on the different sides of stereo spectrum, or sometimes usually you would re-record it several times. We call it double tracking, and you would pan it around and create this effect of multiple voices, but it's so subtle that it also still feels like one person, but it's really powerful and enhances the whole mix. And listen at the end how the beautiful vocal harmony, it's very subtle, almost like a whole choir adds in the background, creates this beautiful spacious sound, and then she says that punchline, the catchphrase, the Fate of Ophelia, very softly, without many effects at all, kind of to make that point again. Push and pull, tension and release.
The fate of Ophelia, the eldest daughter of a nobleman. Ophelia.
Here I'm noticing slightly different effects on those, on the vocal, creating a slightly different feel in productions. Usually you want to also tell a story with how the music develops, and this is something that most people wouldn't even notice when you listen to it just casually, but you can definitely tell if you're analyzing it deeper that something happens differently that it did before, apart from there being new lyrics and things like that. I'm going to skip this because it's a pretty much similar parts, verse and chorus, and we're going to directly to the bridge and listen to the end of the song.
Inside my memory, and only you possess the key. No longer drowning and deceived, all because you came for me. Locked inside my memory, and only you possess the key. No longer drowning and deceived, all because you came for me.
So listen at how it starts, sort of softly with like a whispery voice,
Inside my memory,
and there's the whisper response always at the end of the phrase, soft inside my memory. You see, you can hear multiple voices behind her,
Only you possess the key, no longer drowning and deceived, all because you came for me, locked inside.
And now higher octave of that same melody, it's on top. So it again builds up a little bit. You can see the same sort of pattern on the piano, same rhythm I talked about earlier that the song started with.
And only you possess the key, no longer drowning and deceived, all because you came for me.
Now, just her on her own, no effects whatsoever, or very little, very dry, we would call it, sound with less reverb, but very present, creates the potential for the whole band, all the voices, to be able to kick in and make it even more effective, make it even more impactful on the listener, because now we're going basically from pretty much complete silence, right? So listen to how it kicks in. I'll back it up a little bit.
Came for me. All that time I sat alone in my tower, you were just honing your powers. Now I can see.
Also noticing some different backing vocals here underneath it, like third below the main voice. The high note here. Football, rugby ball, American football.
Fate of Ophelia, you saved my heart from the fate of Ophelia.
And here we go, she ends it in the bathtub, again touching on that story of Ophelia, who famously drowned. Amazing song, very smart, very clever of her to touch on the historical topic of, famous, legendary, evergreen play, and connect it to the current world in a new way. There are topics that are changing because of the new context of developing technology and things like that, but there are also perennial topics that stays the same. And the wisdom and the principles of the Ophelia story are transferable to this day, and we can interpret them in new ways. So I'd like you to let me know in the comments, how did you take this? How did you understand this song when it first came out, and what do you think about it? And whether you're a Taylor Swift fan, or how did you find this video? Let me know in the comments. Please subscribe, give this video a like. My name is Fana. I'm a guitarist, songwriter, producer, music teacher. Welcome to this channel if you're new here, and see you in the next one. Keep it funky.